And discernment without an open heart becomes guarded and disconnected. So these two, for me, and this is how I see it, these two do connect and integrate as a bridge themselves. So the goal isn't choosing one or the other. It's learning how to let your heart lead while your discernment filters. Think of it this way. Your heart says, I'm available for connection, abundance, and truth, whereas your discernment says, I choose what is aligned with that. So what it actually looks like in practice is like an open heart is receptive but not unbounded. You can be kind, generous, and loving and still say no. Say no to the things that don't align with you or that you feel you don't have the energy for at this time or this moment.
Beloved heart, before we begin, I have a special gift for you. If you've been feeling the intensity of Earth's rising plasma light codes and want to stay centered in your body and heart and energy field, I've created a free light language quantum grounding activation just for you. This transmission will help you stabilize, integrate, and align with the new frequencies flowing onto the planet. Simply join my mailing list. See the link that's in the show notes to receive instant access. Let's ground into the light together.
This is the transfiguration of the new you. Hello, beloved. I'm Monica Bermudez. I'm your host. Welcome back to another episode. In this episode, I want to dive into exploring the lack mindset when it comes to prosperity and abundance and why it keeps so many stuck in a pattern in regards to like when it comes to your business, your entrepreneurship, in relation to spirituality and so many other things, and I just want to unravel around these patterns that I've been noticing in myself first of all, but also noticing others as well who I've worked with through my work and my service. And so I want to dive into this with you and also share some ways to five things, right? Five top keys to these to practice for shifting the lack mindset into more prosperous mindset. And this is something that I've been doing myself and being more conscious of and aware, and keeping track of when my mind can slip, or something may slip in the process. And it happens, it doesn't mean just because that we've been going through certain healing for years and that everything is great and perfect because as you know, there's so much going on in the world right now. And so sometimes, we could revert to some of these aspects. And it could be, like a temporary relapse, I would say. But it's really just about keeping yourself balanced during these challenging times. And this is part of our mastery as alchemists to be able to shift ourselves and shift our mindset, shift, the shadow aspects of ourselves and integrate it in a certain way to make our lights brighter. So there is this alchemical mind, I would say, the shifting of our thoughts, the shifting of our mindset. But what's also so key to all of this is our heart. The heart is really like the hub for me for so many reasons. It serves as a central point for everything in our whole ecosystem. Our body is a huge gateway and a portal to our soul. The Akashic Records is multidimensional in so many ways, but it is also a big key to when it comes to prosperity and abundance as well, which I'll get into some of this in this episode. So today we're going to dive into something that touches every part of your life, and that is the relationship with the abundance, relationship with prosperity. And it's not just money, but the deeper frequency of prosperity, because prosperity includes all things about time and energy and resources, etc. And because abundance isn't something outside of you, it's something that you either allow or resist. And what I've seen over and over again is this: you can do all the mindset work, all the strategies, all the action steps, but if your heart is closed, guarded, or operating from a protection or a survival mode, it will just make it even more difficult. Prosperity will just feel out of reach. So today we're talking about how to shift from lack into true prosperity and why the heart is the key of all of it. So let's start with that of the lack of mindset. A lack mindset isn't just about thinking I don't have enough money, or there's a pattern that very specific that I've been noticing as well, which is in relation to scarcity spending, or use it before you lose it. So it just feels like the money is not safe to hold on. So it shows up as feeling like you're behind, comparing yourself to others and their, success and why they're, doing better. Feeling like you have to prove your worth, not trusting what's unfolding in your life, and not safe to hold on to money or your resources. So lack is contraction, and it's the belief that something is missing, that you are missing something. And prosperity, on the other hand, is expansion. So it's knowing that there's more than enough. There's plenty of everything. There's an infinite amount of resources and so forth. And there's plenty, and you're a part of that, more than enough. Prosperity says, I trust life, I trust myself, I am supported. But here's the deeper truth to this: you don't shift into prosperity just by thinking differently. You shift into prosperity by becoming available to it. So, really embodying it, being available to it. And that's where the heart comes in. And so, one thing I want to clarify too, because the Schumann resonance has been so, um, saturated in the chart itself as it's being shown. That means that the electromagnetic energy has been amplifying on the planet, which means the frequency of the planet is vibrating and pulsating at a much faster rate. And so, for this reason, that means that even if you have spent years and years of healing, certain aspect of yourself when it comes to relationship to the abundance and the prosperity, that some of it may actually reappear during this time because it is going deeper into our DNA, which is being activated even more so, tapping more into our superhuman, supernatural abilities and talents that we all hold within ourselves. So it's unlocking other aspects of our DNA, but as that is being unlocked, it is also releasing other layers that may have still been lingering around in relation to when it comes to lack mindset or lack of scarcity, or any form of things that may have been holding you back from your own prosperity and abundance of who you are already. So in essence, it's really like a remembrance that we're going through at this time. And I've always said that, myself for a long time now. But this is really what is happening right now in regards to like the whole Schumann resonance in relation to like the solar flares, and all the cosmic celestial activities going on right now. There have been some rare transit, um, celestial events that have been coming together. Um, and I don't see this as being a coincidence that we're all here together to experience this. Everything has its reason, everything has its purpose. And that purpose is, starting with just being and just being here now. Now, diving into deeper purpose and deeper mission, everybody's going to be unique in their own way in regards to that. But one of the biggest purpose and mission is just to be here. And, it's part of the human experience that we're having. But it's more than just that. It's also about completing cycles and remembering and really tapping more into our superhuman abilities as well. Your heart is not just an emotional, it's magnetic. It's actually, energetically speaking, it's electric magnetic, and there's scientific evidence of this through the Heart Math Institute that they have done like years of study on this, like actual conscious scientists who have been studying the heart, the electromagnetic field of it. So it is the center of receiving. When your heart is open, you are in a state of trust, receptivity, connection, and flow. You might still be trying to create, abundance, but underneath it, there's some fear. So when your heart is guarded or overly guarded, this just makes it harder. There is this underlying aspect of fear. So fear of not having enough, losing what you gain, being unsupported, being disappointed, and that fear subtly blocks what you're trying to call in. Because your prosperity doesn't flow into protection, it flows into openness and trust in the receptivity of it. This is why so many people feel like they're doing everything right, but still not experiencing the overflow they desire. It's not about doing more, it's about softening into receiving. Your heart is that doorway, is the portal to your soul and to the abundance, which is the abundance of your soul, because your soul is infinite and it is already in divine abundance and prosperity, which is why we say it is your divine right to be in abundance and prosperity. And it also holds the keys to the Akashic records itself. So, the Akashic records of your many lifetimes, if you had, which includes the abilities and talents that you have gained through some of these lifetimes themselves, too. So these are all like a memory, like a universal memory bank, a consciousness. So diving into the quantum field in a much deeper way. So let's move into how you actually shift this. So getting more into this practical five top core practices, for this shift. So these are some five powerful ways to move from lack into prosperity through the heart. Number one, become aware of your scarcity patterns. That is so important that you become aware of where those patterns are, because that is where um, your biggest, the biggest, I would say, challenge of trying to identify that and just being aware of it. And that is requires, of course, a lot of willingness to want to see that. So not being in denial, but having the courage to willingly see through what is actually playing out as a pattern. Not to diminish yourself or beat yourself up in any way. It's just to courageously look at yourself in this way, with compassion, of course, for yourself. So you cannot shift what you're not aware of, right? Start noticing your default thoughts. So where do you assume limitation? Where do you expect things not to work out? Where do you hold back because you don't trust? This isn't about judgment, again, not about judging or criticizing yourself or putting yourself down, but really looking at yourself from a witnessing state, because awareness alone begins to loosen the grip of security. So, number two, I know this has been said so many times, but we're going to look at this from a different perspective. So, practice anchored gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a feel good practice, it's really like a recalibration. So, when you focus on what is already working, you shift your internal environment from not enough to already supported. And here's the key, don't rush it, actually feel it. Let gratitude land in your heart, not just in your mind. Because when your heart feels sufficiently, it starts to expect more of it. So when it comes to gratitude, and this is a way when it comes to manifestation as well, is really being grateful for what it is that you are looking to manifest. So even if you don't really have it in the physical reality right now, you can also use gratitude for that reason for having it. But being grateful to start with your abundance and your, prosperity is one way to start as well, but really anchoring it into your heart and really feeling it in the essence of your heart itself, the gateway starts to really build that bridge, that connection more to your soul and to the infinite of who you are in essence. So, number three, strengthen your capacity to receive. This is a big one, and this is one that I was really lacking for a very long time. It took me years, I would say, of putting myself back together to this rebalance because there is, this whole balance of the giving and receiving. So it could go either way, right? Somebody could be receiving more than they are giving. And in most cases, I've seen people just be more like overgiving, more of themselves than they actually receive. And that was me. I was an overgiver. And I'm sure many of you will resonate with this. So most people are comfortable giving, but receiving, that's questionable. That's where the blocks show up. So notice, do you reflect? Do you deflect compliments, right? Like somebody complimenting you, saying, thank you, or just a simple thank you about something, and you feel resistance on it. And I say this because I did resist for a while. Do you feel uncomfortable being supported? Do you try to do everything on your own? It's almost like this control aspect where you can't let go of something and you want to hold on to it and you don't trust anybody else to do the work. Um, and so this is also another really big underlying one. Prosperity requires circulation, like giving and receiving, balance of the two. So begin with small things, receive help, receive kindness, like compliments, be open to receiving compliments from others, receive without needing to earn it. So let that expand for a bit, within yourself. In the fourth thing, rewrite your inner narrative, the stories that are being told inside of yourself. And sometimes these stories may not even be your own stories. You may be holding on to stories that you may have heard from others and through others' experiences that you've seen. Your internal dialogue is constantly shaping your reality. So instead of, I can't afford this, try saying, I am expanding into new levels of support and opportunity. Instead of, this isn't working, say, try this. Something greater is aligning for me. So this isn't about pretending. Um, it's really about choosing the thoughts and being open to the possibility instead of closing it. So your words either contract your energy or expand it. So choose expansion. And the last thing, the fifth thing from this is make decisions from alignment, not fear. This is where everything integrates. Scarcity makes decisions based on what if it doesn't work? Prosperity asks, what is aligned with who I am becoming? So there is a different energy there with that. One is protective and the other is just expansive. And it doesn't mean reckless, decisions, right? It means tune in decisions more in alignment with yourself. Decisions that come from trust and not the panic state, from a vision and not survival, from your creativity of your divine creation of who you are. Beloved, if you're craving deeper connection, intuitive expansion, and consistent energetic support, join me inside the Frequency Resonance Lounge. This is a monthly Master Heart Circle, moon ceremonies that includes the full and new moon, and a private community for connections. Link is in the show notes. So here's what I want you to take away. Prosperity is not something you chase, it's something you allow. In your heart is a space where the allowance happens. So when you soften the need to control, when you release the constant scanning for what's missing, when you open to receiving without resistance, everything begins to shift, not because you forced it, but because you align with it. It's something that you align with it, that you embody, that you become it itself, pretty much. And just to clarify about the open heart, there's discernment involved in this as well. So I want to clarify this about the openness of the heart. An open heart without discernment becomes overgiving, and discernment without an open heart becomes guarded and disconnected. So these two, for me, and this is how I see it, these two do connect and integrate as a bridge themselves. So the goal isn't choosing one or the other. It's learning how to let your heart lead while your discernment filters. Think of it this way. Your heart says, I'm available for connection, abundance, and truth, whereas your discernment says, I choose what is aligned with that. So what it actually looks like in practice is like an open heart is receptive but not unbounded. You can be kind, generous, and loving and still say no. Say no to the things that don't align with you or that you feel you don't have the energy for at this time or this moment. And if there's a relationship that falls apart, or that there isn't any more of that, just let it go. There's no need to be holding on to something, feeling like you have to fix everything or you have to stay connected with everyone just because you have known them for years or even not, or just met them for the reasons behind that. They have um, a certain, practice that they follow. Um, so not everybody will resonate with one another. So that's why I say, like, if there's certain relationships that just are, um, that are, removed, in other words, it's time to just let it go and just really practice more within yourself. It doesn't mean that it will go away, exactly. It may be evolving into something else. Things evolutionize in different ways, and people in each other's lives come in each other's lives for a reason, for a moment, or for long term, or it could be for short term or long term, for the reasons of learning, for the reasons of other reasons that are there to serve. And that is through activation, that is through completion, that is through um, being able to tap into more of your talents and gifts as well. So activation can come in many different ways. But the intention, most of all, is for that to be tapping more into our superhuman abilities, which we all have in ourselves, which is why I emphasize so much that there's just so much potential within ourselves that I really do, sense this, and I get this a lot through my council of archangels and guides, which is why I really want to reach out and help so many people to really tap into the vastness of who they are deep within, and really tap in those areas. So, I've talked a lot about like the avatars before in some previous episodes, and I still, hold strong to this because this is where my heart lies, and this could come from many of my past lives that I may have experienced with this. Um, but for me, like the avatar, which is more like the cosmic avatar than anything, not talking about the movies, but it's really tapping more into the superhuman abilities that we have within ourselves. So discernment is not fear, it's clarity. It's not about closing off, it's about recognizing what feels clean, aligned, and sustainable. So today, I invite you to ask yourself, where am I still operating from lack? And what would it look like to open my heart instead? So, because abundance is already available, the question is, are you available for it? So, thank you for being here today and actually, tapping into this episode and taking the time to listen. If this really resonated for you, share this episode with someone who is ready to step into a more prosperous way of living. And of course, please share your thoughts and comments in the YouTube itself or my podcast platforms. And share any reviews you have, especially for my podcast platform. If you really love it, give it a 5-star review. So I'll see you all at the next episode, and I'm wishing you well as you journey through this alchemical shift of the lack mindset. into tapping more into your prosperous way of being, your prosperous heart. And I am wishing you well. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to click like, save, and share with others so they can also experience what you just experienced. And stay tuned for some more high vibe episodes. And I'll be connecting with you in the next quantum field. Sending you so much love.